Welcome back to another episode of the Know Your Power podcast. I am your host, Juliarene.
And Kendall Graboff.
No.
Kendall Aaliyah.
You are not Kendall Graboff anymore. You are Kendall Aaliyah.
Okay. And Kendall Aaliyah.
Yay!
Yay!
Kendall changed her name on Instagram if you guys haven't seen.
Yeah.
It was a really big day. It was like a monumental moment. It was on the news. Don't check
I'm pretty sure they're putting it in textbooks.
I'm pretty sure. They're probably putting it down in history. But don't look too closely because just trust me.
Just trust us.
Just trust us. But today, we have another episode of the Gym Girl Basics where we go back to the basics. And we're talking supplements today. I feel like this can be a very confusing topic for a lot of newbies. It definitely was for me. So simplifying it for you guys on here and giving you our little spiel. I'm going to kind of go over like what supplements actually are, what their purpose is, and what they have kind of like turned into, it seems. And then also like the top 3 that I feel like are, if you're going to get into them, these are the ones that you should get. So
before we even get in, you're taking the reins on this one because I am not a supplement person.
That's okay.
I take a multivitamin. And that's it.
I take so many supplements.
I'll take magnesium on top of that. But that's more so like a...
Yes.
What's it called? It's not a supplement. It's more so a vitamin. So anyway, I'm just saying ahead of time, I obviously make recommendations to people that need supplementation into their diet, but it is obviously not vital. It's just that it is a supplement. You supplement it in where you're missing nutrients.
Literally.
Yeah. So I really don't take much. Just putting that out there now.
Yep. Good. Yeah. I'm glad. A little disclaimer.
I'm not a huge supplement taker.
I am. And you should just see the list that my coach
you do take a lot.
Has me on. It's just especially like when you're dieting and you are so lean, like there's very little foods that you can actually have. Yeah. So you are missing a lot of like nutrients from foods because you're not even getting enough. So
when I'm in prep, that's the one time I start taking stuff. I also take a lot of supplements for like any sort of recovery for either me or like my adrenal glands. So that's the one time I'll take supplements. But in my normal off-season daily life, I really don't take anything.
I love the honesty. The honesty is great.
I'm so glad.
So great. Well, first I figured that we can at least go over like the supplement definition because literally within the definition, it explains the uses that supplements are going to be used for in 2 different ways. So basically supplement is something that you can use to complete or enhance something else when added to it. So a substance or product that is added to a person's diet to make sure that they get all the nutrients they need. So there's 2 different ways that you can use it, and that's either to complete something that you're missing or enhance something that you already have.
I feel like the most easy way to visualize that is if you don't eat enough protein, something like a protein powder can be used to supplement that protein you're missing. Like that's a very easy way to visualize what all supplements are essentially doing. That is plugging in where you are missing something or just need more of something.
Exactly. And then like the opposite, if you want it to enhance like your performance, taking like pre-workout is something that like isn't necessary, but it can provide you energy, focus. And if you are feeling very blech that day, you might not have had as good as a training session if you didn't like take a pre-workout. We've all been there to where we're like, oh man, I need today's one of those days where I need pre-workout. That's where it can be used to like enhance versus like you said, you're not getting enough protein in, and protein is vital to like building muscle where you use it to like complete an area where you're lacking. I mean, if we're even talking about like the importance of supplementation, it's like 3rd on the list of importance. But when people get started in their fitness journey, we're so quick to like pull out a credit card and be like, can I buy my way to being skinny?
Yeah, it's that easy fix that everyone's chasing. They want to order something on Amazon that's going to make them do the work, when in reality, your diet and your training are far more important than what supplements you take.
Yeah, and exactly. It's like order of importance is diet, then training, then supplementation. But I feel like we do it almost like backwards. It's kind of like supplements, training, and then we figure out diet. So we'll like buy a bunch of stuff and then we like go into the gym and just do a bunch of stuff. And then we're like, I'm not losing weight.
Why is it not working?
Maybe I should look at what I'm eating.
Yeah.
Like we literally do it backwards.
A fat burner isn't going to actually just burn your fat. Sorry to break it to you. But if you're doing really good nutrition and you're doing cardio and you're lifting, then yes, a fat burner might slightly enhance the fat burning you're already doing.
Exactly.
None of this does the work for you.
Yeah. And I only really use like fat burners when I'm like super close to a show. And that's the only time that I ever use them. And I feel like if you're not a bodybuilder, you don't need to use them at all, like whatsoever. And especially because you're taking them. I accidentally took a fat burner the other day and like literally threw up in the morning.
Really?
At my cardio.
Because you're not used to it?
No, because my body's not used to it right now, like at all. It was terrible because for some reason, First Form has a multivitamin, but it's also like within their like fat burning series. So I was super confused because it was like a multivitamin, but also it had like green tea in it. And I was like,
oh, okay.
I don't know. I was like, I don't think so. Like maybe not. And then like straight up, I was like,
oh no.
Ugh. Yeah, it was not. My body wasn't used to it. So anyways, going back to like what we were talking about with you can enhance or you can complete deficiencies. So if we're going to like enhance, just like we were using like the pre-workout example, and you can use that to increase your performance in the gym versus if you need to complete something that's not in your diet, that's when you can use like vitamin D. Like for example, I have to supplement my body with vitamin D because I don't have enough vitamin D in my system.
Most people are deficient. It's
like the most common.
Yeah. The multivitamin, quote unquote, that I take is majority vitamin D and B12 because I feel like B and D vitamins are what we lack the most.
Yep. You are so right. And that's just like an area like that we're just using to complete and fill in gaps that we don't have. Because if we're really thinking about it, the majority of America has such a hard time getting all of these things in. And we're most likely not because of the food choices that we're having. Like also, you have to be super on top of every single thing you're eating to make sure that you're getting all of these nutrients and vitamins in. And just plain and simple, most of us aren't. So that's why supplements can be useful if you don't want to super like monitor everything that you are eating.
Yeah.
Which I do recommend you do. You don't have to supplement everything, but like try to get your protein in, try to get more greens and veggies in, like try to get your vitamin A, B, C, D, E, F, G, L, M, N, O, P.
Yeah. I feel like it is, you had a good point with like mentioning like in America because like we bleach our rice. Like that's what makes white rice so white. And that takes and strips so much of the nutrition or like the micronutrients out. Yeah. So like even those mild little things that would have just a little more benefit to us is now like taken away. And again, like that's with anything processed is it's obviously not going to have the same micronutrients as like the whole natural source. So that's something to consider is like, yes, look at your diet first. And then if you need any supplementation, start taking vitamins every day.
Yeah. Now I kind of want to go into like, if you are already focusing on your diet and you're focusing on your training and you were to get like 3 top supplements that were just going to be useful for your overall health, these are the 3 that I would recommend. Doesn't mean you have to do this. And as you'll notice, pre-workout is not even on the list of things because first of all, it starts like with your inner health versus like performance, I would say is last. People always go for like the fat burners, the pre-workouts, stuff like that first before they go for like the things that we're going to talk about next.
You might be fatigued and have low energy because you're lacking certain vitamins. So I would fix that or correct that before you just go, I'll just take more caffeine. Like that could really like, I feel like everyone watching, if you've been following me on Instagram, you know I was like the caffeine guru. It was like multiple energy drinks and coffees every day. It did take a while. I was having headaches for a while. The last like 3 weeks, I've been maybe 1 coffee a week. And even then I never finish it. And I actually feel more energized because I'm finally supplementing the vitamins I was lacking. Because instead I used to just mask it and be like another coffee, another energy drink, and then you're crashing all the time. So definitely supplement before you use any sort of enhancing supplements.
Exactly. And like the caffeine can be just a vicious cycle. It's like if you have one energy drink for a very long time and that works, like eventually that's going to stop working.
Your
and
body
then you
gets
need
used
two
to
to
it.
get the same feeling, and then you need three.
That's like the people that are taking like the 3 scoops of dry scooping pre-workout. Like I'm like, okay, something else might be the issue. Yeah. Oh my God. And I was getting to that point. I was doing like 2 scoops of like dry pre-workout and shotgunning it. And like, even that, like I barely felt, like I didn't feel any more energized. And it's because I was lacking vitamins and minerals, not
You're
energy.
just up all night and you're like, I can't sleep. That's fine. I'll just never sleep.
Exactly.
So the first one is a greens powder. Anything that has like the fruits and veggies. Obviously, I'm going to recommend the First Form one because not only am I sponsored by them, but I just actually believe in their product. Like when you're looking at the ingredients and like what it does for you and all of the benefits that it has and how well and proper it is made, which is actually super important, which we'll go into later. That's why I recommend it. Above all else.
I am not sponsored by First Form, and I still recommend it. Every time I send any of my clients some supplements that they should take, if I can find it on First Form, I'll send it that route.
Yeah.
Because agreed, they just like actually source their vitamins and minerals from like a really clean source. You can just tell by their descriptions too. They're going more in depth versus like some of these supplement companies you might click on and it's like a pre-workout and it's like, it gives you energy. And it's like, doesn't explain how or when or what way. So yeah, definitely a fan of First Form.
And most supplement companies don't carry the wide range that First Form does. First Form is literally like one of the only ones I've been able to find that carries almost everything that I need for my bodybuilding prep. Like it is insane. Most just carry like pre-workouts, like maybe intra workouts and stuff like that.
Because that's
what
is so easy to sell.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the main things that I take have nothing to do with energy and focus, like really whatsoever.
I think another good brand, just to say it now before I forget, Raw and Revive seem to have a really extensive list too, where they just have a lot of things that are not in those top like protein powder being pushed in your face type of products. They have a lot of micronutrients. So
very, very true. Yeah, those are one of the companies. I think isn't Sebum. Does he work with them or is he
I don't know
like
if he's a owner or something. I really don't know.
He's a co-owner of
Maybe.
it.
Either way, like he's definitely done a lot of their marketing, but I've heard really good things.
I love Sebum. He's my favorite. Anyways,
I think he's everyone's favorite.
He's everyone's favorite. He's literally so cute. I'm acting like I know him. Anyways, so number one is going to be like a greens powder. The reason, I don't want to put these in number of like importance. So when I'm saying 1, 2, 3, that doesn't mean
these are just our top 3.
These are top 3.
In no order.
But yeah.
I've never taken a greens powder.
Oh my God. Yeah. There's the reason why I love the First Form one in particular is because it has so many other benefits than like just regular greens powder does. So not only is it going to be like an immune supporting greens powder, so it's going to help your gut stay healthy. It also keeps you from like getting sick and it keeps you protected. I brought my greens on to Erica's house in like the baby packets because they even have travel ones. So it has obviously like the 50 plus veggies and fruits. So this doesn't mean that you have to like, you could potentially not have any vegetables through the day and you'd be fine with this scoop, but I still have vegetables throughout the day.
I just love veggies, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I like vegetable and I like my fruits. So I'm just like, I still love and enjoy eating them. Yeah. So you can get away with like not eating them if you have this, but I don't really recommend that. Yeah. But on top of that, it does help reduce bloating. It does help with your immune system and supporting a healthy immune system so that you don't get sick as frequently. And like the thing that's also my favorite that I don't think a lot of them do is that it has digestive enzymes and it also has like a probiotic blend in it so that it's even better for your gut, making you stay regular, keeping you healthy. And if you are a regular and your body's actually like digesting the food properly, you're less likely to get bloated. Yep. So when you're taking the greens powder, it helps you actually digest your food properly. And I know you're one that has a hard time with that.
I struggle with anything digestive
Then
related.
It can start reducing your bloat because we've all been in that point where like we eat something and our stomach is like, yo, I am not okay with this. And you get bloated. It's because your stomach isn't actually digesting it properly. So it's like,
I would say if not taking a greens powder, say you like eat a ton of veggies every day, this is always going to like be more obviously, but I love that it has a probiotic in it. Huge advocate for like pre and probiotic. Exactly. That would be in general on my top 3 list. So yeah, definitely if not taking a greens powder, take some sort of like something for your digestive tract. I feel like that's just always important because then you just like feel better too. I also wanted to say the company Bloom is sponsoring every TikToker I've ever seen in the entire world.
Literally.
I have heard really bad things about, I think it was either like where they source their products or just what's in it in general. So don't just buy whatever the TikToker on your feed is pushing to you with supplements, especially. Do your research. So I don't want to be wrong. Bloom might be great, but I've just seen some fitness professionals talk on it and say that it's definitely not the best choice.
Interesting.
But
yeah, I do see a lot of people using that one.
So like I get at least 5 ads for it a day.
That's
nuts. So I'm glad I heard that it wasn't the best.
It's almost like that's the only product they carry.
I think it is. I really don't know. I've never heard of the brand before getting all these ads for their green powder, but they're doing a really good job marketing and sponsoring like all of these lifestyle influencers. So then people who don't know anything about supplements are like, oh, it must be exactly what I need, which again, everyone's different. Things react different. Just do your research before buying. That's true. Please.
That's why I like the First Form one, because I know that there's like more things in it that help besides
just veggies.
Just the greens and veggies. Like it has the probiotic blend, the digestive enzymes. It also helps with like immune supporting, has the greens and stuff. It's like, obviously it's going to have that, but it has so many other benefits. I'm like, this is like a 3-for-1 deal.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the second one is a protein powder. And this one is really, I was like skeptical at putting this in it, but I know that it's so hard for people to get a protein powder, to get their protein in when they first get started. So using it as like a supplementation because you're lacking in like protein, like we were talking about before, is super important.
I usually recommend protein powder to most of my clients because like you said, like the average person isn't easily eating like 180 grams of protein, which might be what they need to hit that day. So having a drink either first thing in the morning or like you did, like you like to mix your protein into your oats, just like some way of getting some extra protein in without even noticing it makes it a lot easier than like eating a ton of meat or like whatever your protein source is.
Yeah. I mean, and especially if you have the goal, even if you have the goal of losing weight or building muscle, it's going to be essential for either one of your goals. I feel like some people think that like protein is like we're bulking and that's what we need, but like you need it all the time because it's the building block to building muscle.
Also helps with recovery, having enough protein in your diet.
Helps with preventing muscle breakdown. It aids in building muscle, aids in weight loss, and then the convenient aspect of it with like throwing it in with your oats or like literally just seeing a scoop. Like you see people that have like a post-workout shake like almost immediately after their workout. So you can either get the meal replacement one, which has usually a little bit more higher calories so that you're actually like using it to replace a meal, or you can get one that's like a lower calorie one that's like a post-workout more for like recovery and for muscle fatigue. Either one. I felt like too, it was important to talk about at least the number of grams of protein per pound of body weight. So when I was looking this up yesterday, obviously like a good rule of thumb is like the 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And then I was looking at like studies that people have done of where people were taking more protein than that even. And the science shows that there's like no added benefits whatsoever. Because you know how some people would like take an excessive amount of protein powder?
Also, your body literally cannot absorb, I think it's more than 40 grams. And that's varying. It obviously depends on you, your digestive health, like everything. But like if you ate 100 grams of protein in one meal, your body's not even absorbing half of that.
Exactly.
So like what's the point?
Exactly. And that's like a lot of the protein powders and how they're made, the absorption of the protein is actually not as high as you think it is. So like you might get like a scoop of protein powder and like say it's 25 grams of protein and your body only absorbs like 15% of it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh crap. I didn't, you know, like I'm really relying on this. Yeah. But your body can only use so much at one time. So like stuffing your face with protein isn't going to like help. Obviously getting the adequate amount in is going to make your goals progress a little bit quicker. You're going to be a little stronger, a little, get the muscles. Muscles are so fine.
That needs to be a meme of its own just with your voice. We also need to talk about the different types of protein because there's a lot out there and it is like, I feel like every supplements as a whole is overwhelming, and then each one is overwhelming because you're like, well, which one's the right one? Which one do I do? Yeah, like there's non-stim pre, there's stim pre, there's like green tea focused pre-workout. Like, it's just everything has so many little subcategories. So we're going to break down, basically I'm going to go down the list first and then we can talk specifics on each.
Yeah.
The main types of protein, there are even more out there that like you could find on niche websites, I'm sure. There's whey protein. I would say that's the most common, most popular. I think it's just the easiest, honestly, to make.
Yeah.
Then there's casein, soy, pea, and hemp. Those are like the 5 most common that you see, especially I feel like a good way to visualize it is if you go to like a Smoothie King or like a Juice Land and you're ordering a protein shake, they usually have like the different options weighed out. And that's when you go, well, which one should I be taking? Which one's right for me? And I think it fully is dependent on you, your goals, and your digestive health. Because me personally, in my experience working with like a wide range of different clients, whey protein, which is that most common protein, can be really hard on your gut because it is a derivative of milk. So there is some lactose byproduct in it. And if you are even the tiniest bit lactose intolerant, that might make you feel like uneasy or like not hungry for the rest of the day, which you might think is a good thing, but that's because your body's not digesting it very well.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever had that with whey? Because I get that way with whey protein.
I had it with whey before I switched to First Forms, and like I don't mean to make this whole episode about First Forms, and I don't like. I'm not intending it to be an ad, but like that's genuinely true. I never used protein powder before I switched to First Forms because it literally, I would feel so gaggy. Oh, it was so terrible.
There's certain ones that just don't sit right.
They don't. And it's just because of how they're made. Like the way that First Form actually produces their protein, they don't blast their protein with heat. And that's why they call theirs the, slow temperature processing. So they're not blasting it with heat like most of them are. That's why they can like make huge amounts of protein powder and production of protein powder. So then it's actually a lot easier on your digestive system.
I also want to recommend, if you're ever looking at any protein brand, they typically, I would say the top companies have this, they make an isometric version. Isometric just means essentially it went through, or sometimes it just says iso protein or iso blend. It is still derived from that whey protein, which is still derived from that milk-based product, but it goes through extra processing to take more of that out. So it still has, because I think the benefit of whey and why it's so like pushed is it has a lot of amino acids in it, either mixed in or naturally from being from an animal. And amino acids help us the most in recovery. That's a really good, also, I feel like we can talk about BCAAs as part of like the multivitamin area. But branch chain amino acids help our bodies a lot with recovery, and whey protein naturally has a lot of that. Iso is just easier on your digestive tract.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure the First Form one is the whey iso protein.
Yeah.
It's
so if you ever have the option between like normal whey and iso, I would always go iso.
There's a huge difference in just like the way that your stomach reacts to it. It's wild.
Yeah.
And then if you are going to pick like the soy, pea, or hemp, obviously like those are more for people that like, sometimes those people who get those are people that really switch from like the whey and how that makes their stomach feel to one of those because it's actually easier on their stomach.
Yeah,
because they can't find one that's like good for their stomach, or they're vegan, or I
was gonna say all 3 of those are
too.
vegan choices. So yeah, if you're super lactose intolerant, I think fully stay away from whey, even if it is iso, and try one of the plant substitutes. I will say people with digestive issues though, pea protein can be like really inflammatory. So just be careful. Try out different types. If you ever go to a supplement store, they usually have samples. Like get the samples, see how you like how it tastes, and also how your body reacts.
That's very true.
And then the last one we haven't addressed is casein.
Casein. Okay, this type of protein is rich in glutamine, amino acids. It can speed up muscle recovery after your exercises. It comes from dairy, so it makes it unsuitable for vegans, obviously, like the other 3 that we were talking about. And the body digests this protein more slowly, so it may be best to take it at night. I see a lot of dudes taking this one.
I've never taken casein.
I've never taken it myself, but I've heard a lot of men bodybuilders who take this specific kind like really right before they're going to bed. And I don't really know much about it. I don't really know why, but like that little description that we had, it's like, I've never experienced it personally, but if it literally is slow release, I would say. Yeah,
so maybe it just hits them throughout the day. Because I know most men have that like I know multiple men out there that wake up in the middle of the night to like chug a protein shake. So maybe it just helps with that, like where it hits you throughout the night. So you're just constantly working.
Now that I remember, Zach actually, when we did our last show together before he stopped bodybuilding, he would take that before bed when he was on his prep because he, for some reason, hated waking up in the middle of the night being hungry.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't really care if I was hungry in the middle of the night because I was just going to go to bed anyway. So he would take that one at night before he would go to bed so that he wouldn't wake up in the middle of the night hungry from prep. So that's
good life hack then. Maybe give it a go.
Yeah.
I've always been an advocate for either ISO whey, or I do honestly love hemp. I don't own one.
Like it too.
I don't know what they use, but I love the taste because I feel like taste is a big part of it. If you don't like how a protein
isn't hemp
tastes,
seeds?
Well, yeah, it can be.
Hemp seeds?
But there is hemp protein.
No, but wouldn't it be derived from the hemp seed?
Yeah. No, I was going somewhere else. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I was just my many tangents. I like Ghost vegan protein powder. That's what I was saying. I don't know where they get their source from.
Gotcha.
I don't think it's pea protein because I usually stay away from those, but I just like how there's taste a lot.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of people that will just get vegan just because of the taste too.
Yeah.
Like Emily Hayden, one of my friends, she's not even vegan, but she uses her vegan protein powder from First Worm just because she just likes the flavor.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I will say it's hard to find some vegan ones out there are awful. Like I've had some like pre-bottled ones. Not a fan. Yeah. If you do want like pre-packaging, I know like Lean Body, those are really good.
Yeah.
Muscle Milk, I feel like is a classic.
Yeah.
And those are actually lactose free. Fun fact.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Who else makes like a there's Pure Protein. Like all of these brands have these little pre-made ones. I think those are perfect if you're like on the go and don't have time to like actually make a shake.
My dad loves those.
Yeah.
He always has like the muscle milks and like those like, and I've never had an issue with my stomach on any of those. I don't think like those are like
I think because they're
ones.
so liquidy, they're like really easy to digest versus when we make shakes at home, I always make mine like really thick into like an ice cream almost. Yes. So I feel like it's harder on your body anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I'm literally just go.
I haven't had a protein shake in so long. I go through phases with things like food where it's just like out of my routine right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I just overdid it after my last show, which was literally almost 2 years ago now, but it made me so sick at how many protein shakes I had every day that I just like cannot do it
I usually don't like have if it's on my list, I'd rather have the whole food than the protein shake just because like I'm actually hungry and I rather like
eating.
I'd rather chew food than like have a protein shake. But if you're at the point like we were talking about before where you just can't get the food in, like protein shakes are a good go-to.
I was going to say Alani Nu also.
Facts. Big facts.
Yeah.
Love me and Alani. Their stuff is good.
I know. They're sending me like a coffee one right now. I'm so excited. Oh, I love Alani Nu with my whole heart.
That's
not
true.
Sponsored. Wish I was. But okay. The last on the top 3 list is multivitamin, which again, that's like all I take. And sometimes that's all you need to take.
Yeah.
Even if you're not deficient in anything, just making sure you have good levels on all your vitamins. Vitamins are one of those things that if you overtake too much, your body just disposes of it. You just pee most of it out. So like there is no like doing too much for vitamins, but you can be doing too little. Yeah. So I always recommend a multivitamin. Most of those like gummies in the aisle are not going to be doing enough for you. I would get either specific like subcategories and I would get pills if you can, because those are going to hit your system more. If you're doing like the little Flintstone vitamins, did you ever take those? Your body's just really not absorbing enough of any of it that it's really making an impact. It's more of just like having a little fruit snack in the morning. So I definitely recommend getting either fully separate, like I have a container of vitamin C, a container of magnesium, a container of zinc, and like I mix them all together and will make my own multivitamin.
Oh.
Yeah.
You make like a giant multivitamin like pill.
Well, I usually honestly don't.
Yeah.
But when I need to take everything, I do. Right now, I'm really just focused on like vitamin D and B12, like I said. But.
Yeah. Also, if you don't want to do any guesswork, you can take a little test to figure out what you're lacking in, because then you don't have to take things that you don't need. You know what I mean?
I recommend.
Highly recommend doing that.
Highly recommend.
But I mean, the purpose of like a multivitamin really is to fill your nutritional gaps and make sure that you get the daily allowance of your underconsumed nutrients like vitamin A, like she was talking about, B, C, D, K, all of these things. There's
the whole alphabet.
13 essential vitamins that our body needs, and it's like most likely there's something that's off. Like even if we're talking about just with like vitamin A and vitamin C and vitamin E, like just those three, those are like some of the more common ones, but there's 13 of them that we really don't focus on whatsoever. And we would have no idea if like we don't have it or we're lacking in it. Most of us know like the vitamin D and et cetera, et cetera.
Magnesium is one of those things that I was like, I don't need to take that. Like I eat honestly a lot of fish and I know magnesium can be derived from that. I have a lot of iron in my diet. Like I never thought I needed magnesium, but I am a very like high strung, anxious person. And magnesium is the only supplement that literally when I take it, I just feel calm. Like they actually have, I think it's called Calm. There's a supplement, literally a huge label called Calm that is just magnesium. And like, I don't know, magnesium is just the only thing that actually calms my anxiety. Highly recommend to anyone who's dealing with like any sort of adverse reaction to that. So you might just be low in magnesium.
Yeah, you could take magnesium during the day. You can take it at night because it just has kind of like a relaxing factor. So I take mine right before bed and it kind of like gets me wind down. And then maybe I'll take my little, you know, a nighttime pill that actually has like melatonin or something in there.
Yeah.
Or like more like an adrenal restore where it restores my adrenal glands because those be getting crispy these days.
I get
you
that.
know, not as much as I used to, but I mean, all of these essential vitamins, like what we were saying before, you can find these in the foods that we're eating throughout the day. But like I was saying earlier, a lot of us are not actually eating these foods. Like, for example, if we're talking about vitamin A, it helps with your healthy skin, hair, and bones and teeth, and you can find them in salmon, fish, egg yolks, some dairy products. If we're talking about vitamin C, you can find it in fruits, melons, berries. Like, there's things you can eat that give you these vitamins, but I really want you to think about like your day-to-day diet. It's like, how much of this am I actually eating?
Yeah.
Like if we're talking about like a basic American diet that's like fast food and like the way that other people see us.
And you're definitely not getting enough.
And all the processed things that we are having. Maybe if we're just like waking up and just having like a coffee and like a taco, it's like, okay, what are we actually getting? Like what vitamins are we actually getting out of these things? So this is why supplements can help, because if we're being honest, like who has the time to be monitoring all of this so closely?
Even when you're bodybuilding, you're so focused on macronutrients that you really forget about the micro. Like I don't think I've ever logged my food on MyFitnessPal and be like, let's look at the vitamin list. Like it's just a second thought. Like I just never.
But that is a really good thing to do. Like it literally just tracking some of the food that you're eating so that you can see on MyFitnessPal like what you're actually getting out of these foods. Yeah. It's like, oh crap, like you get a lot of things from like the fats that we're eating, the berries, the vegetables that we're eating, even just like the actual act of chewing vegetables, like the chewing aspect of it. There's so many things that you get out of that. And some of us just like swallow down our food really fast. Yeah. So yeah, you don't need them. Supplements, you don't absolutely need to buy like all of the things, but there are things that are super important like greens, multivitamins, protein powder, like probiotic, things that just can help your gut work properly, make sure that you're digesting your food.
I feel like these are all just helps your functions. I feel like anything that you feel like you need in the gym that's like a pre or an intro workout, I feel like those are like, those come much later. Those are not necessary, especially if you are tackling these things. You should have enough energy naturally. I know some people are very dependent or work out really late or whatever with caffeine, but I would just look at these first before you jump right to the easy, quote unquote, easy fix supplements that don't do enough.
Exactly, because then you'll end up with a cabinet full of supplements that you don't know what they do or what they're for, and you'll be like, fuck. Yeah. So if you have to, these three would be the ones that we recommend. So, if you guys have any questions, if you have anything that you want us to talk about next, feel free to send us an email at knowyourpower@gmail.com. I think it's knowyourpowerpodcast.
Yeah, knowyourpowerpodcast@gmail.
LOL, I don't even know my own email. Yes, I do. Anyways,
our email.
We love you all so much, and you're more powerful than you think.
Bye.
Bye.